Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers, a podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
I want you to just picture the scene. It's 2026. You're sitting in that chair, or, maybe you're staring into the ring light on your webcam, and you've just spent 45 minutes running the absolute gauntlet. You've nailed the questions about your greatest strengths, your biggest weaknesses. You even managed to explain that time you had a conflict with a coworker without sounding like a total nightmare.
You think you've survived.
Yeah.
You think it's over. The finish line is right there.
Exactly. You're ready to log off or shake hands. And then the interviewer, they sort of lean back, maybe check their watch, and they look you right in the eye and drop the final hurdle.
So, do you have any questions for us?
The dreaded open floor.
It's the moment the whole power dynamic shifts, and honestly, it's the most critical moment of the entire interaction.
And this is where so many people just crumble, right? The adrenaline crashes, they breathe a sigh of relief, and they say the three words that are, well, they're basically a career death sentence.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
It sounds so polite, doesn't it? So agreeable. You're trying to be low maintenance. But based on the research we're diving into today, specifically, a playbook from College Recruiter for the 2026 job market, saying that is like tripping over your own shoelaces right before the tape.
And that is the trap we are here to dismantle today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are unpacking the 2026 interview playbook, and the mission is simple. We're going to give you 5 specific power questions to ask.
But more than just the questions themselves, we're going to explain the deep psychology behind why they work, what they signal to a hiring manager.
Right, and that context is everything. Because the job market of 2026, it is not the market of 2020 or even 2024.
Not at all. The landscape has fundamentally shifted, and if you don't get the terrain, you're going to get lost.
So let's set that scene. What is the specific vibe of the 2026 hiring world we need to understand? I feel like every year we hear the market has changed, but what's really different now?
The key theme, and it's in all the source material, is human centricity.
Okay, that sounds like a buzzword. Let's unpack it.
All right, so in 2026, automation, AI, it's all fully mature. It's integrated into everything. The robots are handling the robotic stuff.
Yeah.
Employers aren't hiring you to be a spreadsheet machine anymore.
Because the software does that way better than I ever could.
Exactly. They're hiring you for the stuff the AI can't do. We're talking emotional intelligence, judgment, critical thinking, connection.
So if you sit there and have no questions...
You're not just being polite.
Yeah.
You are signaling a lack of curiosity, a lack of engagement. And in a human-centric market, silence is viewed as passivity.
And passivity is the one thing no one is hiring for.
Nobody.
That makes total sense. If the job is about thinking, you have to show you're a thinker.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. We have 5 questions on the list, plus some really interesting etiquette tips. Start with the big one, the elephant in the room for every office job in 2026.
The hybrid model.
A hybrid model.
Right. By now, it's the standard. It's not the new normal. It's just normal.
Okay.
But the cracks in the system are really visible to hiring managers now. They've spent years watching junior hires struggle to integrate.
What are they worried about specifically? Because, to me, hybrid sounds great. Best of both worlds.
They're terrified of what they call ghost employees.
Ghost employees.
Yeah. They're worried that junior hires are going to join, sit in their home offices, and just drift. They worry about isolation. They worry you won't learn anything because you aren't overhearing conversations or grabbing coffee with a mentor.
The osmosis factor. You don't learn by watching if there's no one around to watch.
You got it. So the first recommended question addresses this anxiety head on. It's called the Mentorship Question.
Okay, so lay it out for us. What's the script?
The question goes like this. Since I will be working in a hybrid model, how does the team ensure that junior employees receive the spontaneous mentorship and feedback that usually happens in an office setting?
I want to pause on that because that wording is really specific. Spontaneous mentorship. That feels very deliberate.
That is the magic phrase. It shows you understand the difference between a scheduled Zoom call and actual, organic learning.
But let me play devil's advocate here. Does asking this make me look high maintenance? Like I'm asking you to hold my hand. I feel like people are afraid to ask for support because they want to seem independent.
It's a valid fear, But you have to look at it from the manager's perspective. Think about what most candidates ask about hybrid work.
Oh, right. They ask, do I have to come in on Fridays? Or can I work from an Airbnb in Bali for a month?
Exactly. They're asking for the work from home pass. They want to know the loopholes. They want permission to disconnect. But this question, it flips the script entirely. You're saying, I know hybrid work has a downside, less access to you, and I want to bridge that gap. It signals, I'm not here to hide in my pajamas. I am here to learn.
It reframes your ambition. You're telling them you value proximity to them.
It creates a connection. It shows high EQ. You're saying, I know how professional growth happens, and I want to make sure I get it.
Yeah.
And trust me, in 2026, a candidate who actually wants mentorship, that's a unicorn.
That's a really strong opening move. It settles their fear about you being a ghost. But let's talk about their other fear, or maybe the candidate's fear, which is technology.
Ah, yes. AI is doing the heavy lifting now. It's everywhere. And that brings us to question number 2.
The AI question.
Or as I like to call it, the pilot mindset.
The pilot mindset. I like that. What's the ask here?
You look them in the eye and you ask, as the company integrates more automation and AI tools into daily workflows, how do you see the role of an intern evolving to focus more on the human judgment and decision-making side of the business?
Okay, human judgment. That's the anchor phrase there.
It's a whole differentiator. Look, 5 years ago, you might have been hired to organize files or do basic coding. Today, software does that in seconds. If you go into an interview acting like your value comes from, grinding out repetitive tasks.
You're basically arguing for your own obsolescence.
Yes, you're saying, hire me to do the thing you're about to automate. It's a losing strategy.
Right. A job that won't exist in 6 months.
But by asking this question, you position yourself as the pilot. You're telling them, I know the plane flies itself on autopilot, but I'm the one who knows where to land it.
It's a total power move. You're not scared of the tech. You're ready to command it.
It brands you as forward-thinking. You're an active leverager of technology, not a passive user. You're asking how you can contribute to that human layer on top of it all.
It probably relieves the interviewer, too. They don't have to pretend the robots aren't there. It elevates the whole conversation.
Precisely. It shows you see the big picture.
Okay, so we've established we want mentorship, and we want to pilot the tech.
Hi, we're Meg and Amy from The Meg and Amy Show.
We're not only tech execs and big picture thinkers, we're also best friends.
We're curious learners. And on this podcast, we're challenging the status quo and activating the future.
And we're going to give advice about work and leadership, right, Meg?
We can't help ourselves. But this podcast is about exploring possibility, not being right.
That sounds refreshing.
For more, tune in to The Meg and Amy Show.
Now, let's get down to brass tacks. How do we know if we're actually doing a good job?
This next one is for all the goal-oriented people listening. The source material calls it the metric scrollgen.
This is the one about the gold star, right?
That's the one. The question is, what would a gold star performance look like for an intern in this role after the first 90 days? How do you specifically measure success for someone at the early career level?
Why 90 days? Is that time frame important?
Yeah, the first 90 days is a classic business concept. It's the onboarding ramp. So framing it like that shows you get the life cycle of a new hire. You aren't expecting to run the company on day one.
It shows discipline.
Yeah.
And that you want to be held accountable.
It does. Employers love candidates who want a target to hit.
Yeah.
It shows drive. But, and this is a huge insight from the deep dive, this question is also a shield for you.
A shield? How so?
It protects you from bad management. I mean, think about it. If you ask, what does success look like? And the hiring manager just starts rambling or looks confused or lists off this impossible laundry list of things.
Then you know you're walking into a disaster zone.
Exactly. If they can't define success, you can never achieve it. You will just burn out trying to hit a moving target.
So if their answer is something like, oh, we just want you to do your best and help out, that's actually a red flag.
Huge red flag.
Yeah.
It implies a total lack of structure. And in 2026, with remote teams and AI tools, clarity is king. You need to know exactly what winning looks like before you sign that offer.
It's a way of interviewing them back.
It's vetting them, which leads perfectly into the next area, culture.
Ah, the vibe check.
Right, because every company website says the same thing.
We value integrity, innovation, and work-life balance. It's all just marketing fluff. How do you cut through it? I can't just ask, so is your culture actually good?
No, because they'll just lie. You have to force them to get specific, to move from the abstract to the concrete. The question here is, I noticed one of the company's core values is insert value here. Can you tell me about a time when the team had to make a difficult decision that put that value to the test?
Ooh, a time when the team had to make a difficult decision. That is the trap.
It's a brilliant trap. It's basically a behavioral interview question, the kind they ask you, and you're turning it right back on them.
And you can't answer that with a slogan. You can't just say, oh yeah, we love integrity.
Nope. You have to tell a story. If they say they value work-life balance, ask for a time that was tested. Did they send people home during a launch because people were fried? Or did they order pizza and make everyone stay until midnight?
It forces them to show you the operational reality, not the poster on the wall.
And it proves you did your homework, you know their values, but it also proves you have the guts to ask for the receipt.
So what if they stumble? If they just sit there and can't come up with anything?
Then you have your answer, don't you? If they can't recall a time they used their values to make a hard decision, then those values are just decoration.
Wow. That's incredibly useful. Okay, 4 questions down. This brings us to the last one. And I have to be honest, reading this one, it made my palms sweat a little. It feels incredibly bold.
The source calls this the forward motion question. I just call it the closer. This is the one you ask right before you leave.
All right, hit us with it.
You look at them and you say, based on our conversation today, is there anything about my background or my current skill set that gives you pause? I would value the chance to address any concerns you might have.
Wow. Is there anything that gives you pause? You are literally asking them to criticize you.
Yeah.
To your face, that is terrifying.
It is gutsy. But let's look at the sales psychology here, because an interview is a sales pitch. This is called objection handling.
Objection handling, meaning finding out why they won't buy.
Exactly. Imagine the interviewer sitting there thinking, I like this person, but I'm worried they don't have enough experience with X software. If they don't say it, that doubt just festers. The next person they interview has that experience, and you lose.
But if you ask the question,
you bring that shadow into the light. They might say, well, honestly, your lack of experience there is a concern. And now you have the floor.
You can fix it right there.
You can say, I understand that concern, but actually I took a course on that last month, or I learned a similar system in 2 days at my last job and picked things up very quickly. You get to clear up the misunderstanding before it kills your chances.
It stops you from being rejected for a reason that might not even be true.
And beyond the tactical advantage, just think about what it signals to them.
Confidence.
Massive competence and self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, I am professional enough to handle constructive criticism. In 2026, resilience is a top soft skill. That's incredibly attractive.
You walk out knowing exactly where you stand.
High risk, high reward. But if you want the job, you take the risk.
So those are the 5 questions. But the guide doesn't stop there. It mentions something else. The silent interview.
Yes. The etiquette of 2026. Because you can ask the smartest questions in the world, but if your body language is screaming, I'm unprofessional, none of it matters.
And since we're in this hybrid world, we have to talk video call etiquette. There's a specific tip here about eye contact that I think a lot of people mess up.
It's the camera versus screen problem. The source is emphatic about this. Look at the camera lens, not the face on the screen.
Ugh. This is so hard to do. It feels totally unnatural. I want to look at the person I'm talking to.
We all do. But think about the geometry. If you look at their face on your screen, to them, your eyes are looking down. You're breaking eye contact.
You look disengaged. Or like you're reading a script.
Right. But when you look at that little black dot of the camera lens on their screen, it looks like you're staring right into their eyes. It simulates real eye contact.
It creates that connection.
The source notes that employers feel that real eye contact is missing in a lot of younger candidates because they're so used to looking at screens. Training yourself to talk to the lens is a small tweak with a massive psychological impact.
It's a stage trick, but it works. Okay, so what if you're actually in the room face to face? The guide suggests something that sounds, well, kind of retro.
Bring a physical notepad and a pen.
A physical notepad, not an iPad, not a phone, paper and pen.
Paper and ink.
Is this just about being charmingly old-fashioned?
It's about signaling focus.
Yeah.
If you're taking notes on a laptop, what's the interviewer thinking?
They don't know if I'm taking notes or checking my texts. Or email.
Exactly. A screen is a barrier. It puts a wall between you. A notepad, though, creates a bridge. When you pull out a pen and actually write down something they just said, it's a huge compliment. You are visually demonstrating what you just said is so important, I need to record it.
It validates them.
It validates them, and it shows you're ready. The source calls it an analog attention signal. In a world of digital distraction, giving someone your full analog attention really stands out.
It's funny how in such a high-tech world, the lowest tech tool becomes the power move.
Often the differentiator is just being the most present human in the room.
So let's bring this all together. We've got the questions, the behavior. What's the big picture takeaway for a candidate in 2026?
I'd say the big shift is from thinking like an applicant to thinking like a consultant.
Break that down for me.
An applicant sits there, answers questions, and just hopes to be picked. A consultant comes in, asks intelligent questions, diagnoses the situation, and determines if there's a good fit.
And these questions about mentorship, AI strategy, culture, these are all consultant questions.
Exactly. They transform the interview from an interrogation into a business meeting.
Yeah.
You're elevating yourself from candidate to potential partner.
Yeah.
You're showing them what it's like to work with you.
You're establishing agency.
And that's what a 2026 employer wants. They don't want another cog in the machine. They want a human who can think and engage.
It's empowering. You're not begging for a job. You're exploring a partnership.
Precisely.
Now, before we wrap, I want to go back to that forward motion question one last time. The one where we ask, do you have any concerns?
The closer, yes.
We talked about how it shows confidence. But there is a danger there, isn't there? I keep thinking about what happens when they actually answer you.
That is the final thought I want to leave you with. If you ask an employer, what concerns do you have about me? And they actually tell you.
You have to be ready for the answer.
You have to be so ready. Because how you react in those next 5 seconds, that is the real interview.
If you get defensive,
you lose. If you crumble or make excuses, you lose. But if you can listen to a direct critique of your background, nod and respond with grace and a solution, that tells them more about your character than your resume ever could.
It's not just about asking the bold question. It's about having the strength to handle the honest answer.
That is the ultimate test of emotional intelligence. If you can pass that test, you're hired.
Well, there you have it. The 2026 playbook for closing the interview. No more. No, I'm good. It's time to start asking the questions that really matter.
Go get them.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.